what do you want to talk about today? What do you want to tackle?
Dude, I think right now, like where the insurance space is, I think one thing that I bring to the table that a lot of agents, principal agents don't have is like I still sell insurance every day. And I feel like that gives me like a ground level feel for like what's going on in the industry. And I think right now there's a lot of agents that they need to generate business, but they can't just generate anything like they could in the past, right? Like they have to generate like a certain niche type of business. And so I think one thing that a topic we could dive into is just like organic social media, like generating using your audience that you have and generating opportunities for your agency with intent. Everybody hears I tell this story somewhat frequently, but there was when I was first getting started in my career, I was sitting at a popular local lunch spot, and a agent from a captive came up behind me and he tapped me on the shoulder and he said, "What are you doing?" And I'm like, "Well, making some Facebook posts. I'm scheduling them out for my page." And he slapped me on the back and he said, "Bud, I'm going to give you some advice. If you want to sell more insurance, you should get off Facebook." And I said, "I don't think that I'm going to take that advice, and we're gonna roll with it." And we built a great business off of Facebook. So I love to talk about just organic social marketing. I think that's a topic that resonates with most agents right now.
For sure. Now, when you say organic, I don't know that everyone that is tuning in from Insurance Super or any other avenue, that might not be a term that is familiar to every agent out there. Amongst the marketers in the group, that's a very common term. But why don't you share with us what you mean by organic?
Yeah. So when I say organic, I'm thinking non-paid advertising, right? We're connecting with people and using those connections to leverage, attention, which is really, all we're doing, which, turns into leads. So there's a fine line there between, providing value and spamming people. And so you got to figure out how do I play in this providing value lane? How do I provide value to the customer? Because the problem is that insurance agents, when it comes to social media, most of them were taught, and for those that are just listening to audio on this, I'm throwing up air quotes, taught to do social media by the carriers. The carriers come out and they say, "Oh, we've got this great plan for you. Here's all these articles that you can post with these links," and these links go to our website, by the way, not your website, and they are for how to make your tiny home's backyard more spacious. And if you post this, you're gonna get it's garbage, it's trash. It's filler content, is what it is.
One of the things that comes to my head as you speak, CJ, is you hit something really heavy that I kind of want to double click on. You still sell insurance. If you're still selling insurance, you have an empathetic approach as you communicate to agents still doing that. And empathy is such a superpower. I mean, it's a core value in any company that I try to establish. The thing about carriers, unfortunately, love them, God bless them, but their level of empathy to what's going on the front lines, they may as well be on Mars sometimes. And so they're fiercely disconnected. So maintaining that connection as you go through these social media posts and stuff, I think is one of the superpowers that we need to do as agency owners. Curious your thoughts when you do posts and stuff. Do you leverage empathetic problems, empathetic solutions? Is that something that you try to leverage?
Of course, yeah. So I'm a little different than most people because I try to speak to agents and to my actual community, like the people that I'm trying to sell insurance to. So you'll see a little bit of both coming from me, which I think is a little different. But the big key thing is putting out content that resonates with the audience, right? And you use the word empathy. That is correct. Using what things that you're putting out should be things that your audience is going to care about, going to know about, like, trust, like all those things happen. So storytelling, anything like that is always going to be the way to go. And then figuring out how to storytell at scale, I guess would be probably like the bigger challenge. But yeah, you're absolutely right. Being able to connect with that audience in that way is exactly how you have success.
I think it would probably be a lot easier to articulate some of the major mistakes, problems, and pitfalls that you see agents that are trying to use social do. So maybe we can help some newer agents that may be looking to grind out opportunity on social, prevent them from messing things up with their own audience. Like, what are some things that you see agents out there doing that they absolutely should not be doing?
Yeah. So I think the very first one is going to be just the straight up spam type posts. Like the, hey guys, call me today and save $30 a month on your insurance, blah 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 blah. It's noise, man. It doesn't resonate with the audiences, and it doesn't generate engagement, right? Just because you post something doesn't put it in all of the people that follow you or your friends, doesn't put it in their newsfeed, right? You have to generate content that is relevant to the audience, that drives engagement. So what ends up happening is these agents post these spammy type posts, nobody engages with them, and they're really just kind of like digging themselves a hole. I always use the story of the boy who cried wolf. Wes, you know the parable of the boy who cried wolf?
I know it well. I probably tell it to my kids. It's a once a month occurrence that I say, quit freaking crying wolf. So yes, I know it very well.
Exactly. So the Facebook algorithm works in the same way, and I like to use this as like a story. So basically, when we create content, we're telling our audience that we have something really, really important to say, right? Hey guys, I have this thing here, and we're putting it out. But it turns out that what we put out there wasn't all that great, right? So we cried wolf. This wasn't that great. The audience didn't engage with it. So the next time that we have something to say that actually is important, we go to put that out there. Facebook's algorithm remembers that I cried wolf before, and it's going to do my friends a favor and just not show them my post to begin with. So you can get yourself in this cycle of like, you're not getting anyone to view your posts because your posts are boring and they're not driving engagement. And then therefore, when you make posts in the future, less and less people are seeing them. And so you end up digging yourself a huge hole that's hard to get out of.
So CJ, you're painting a picture for the agent that's listening right now, where they might be thinking to themselves like why does Facebook care? Why does Facebook have it out for me? Why does Facebook give any cahoots as to whether or not I'm banging a drum and who's listening? Like, what's the reasoning behind it? Like, why is Facebook slapping your hand if what you're saying isn't resonating with your audience?
Of course. No, that's a great question. You always have to follow the money, right? Facebook's a business. They're a big business. And they didn't get that way because you shared pictures of your dog. The way they got that way was by Facebook ads, right? People spending money on their platform. And the way that they get people to spend money is by scrolling. Every time you scroll, every fourth post is an ad. Just think of it like this. Every time you scroll on your phone at night, every time you roll past an ad, just make a little cha-ching sound. And that was you paying Mark Zuckerberg like 2 pennies or something like that, right? The point of that, and to like wrap up your question there, is if I'm Facebook, I want people to stay on my platform as long as possible. The reason I want that is the longer they scroll, cha-ching, 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 right? So if you as a user are putting out content that is boring, that is not driving engagement, Facebook sees that as a liability to their platform. They don't want bad content, because if all the end user sees is content that they don't like and they don't engage with and it doesn't resonate with them, they're going to leave and they'll be over on TikTok. And now TikTok's getting that ad revenue. So Facebook's algorithm is designed so that it shows the user the content that they think that user is going to like and engage with. And you want to be that content.
What you just described as far as like the strategy is concerned falls very in line with a strategy that Gary Vee has taught over the years. And he even has a book about it, jab, 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 right hook.
The fact of the matter is that's what all of our marketing is. Like, why do you put a billboard up on the side of the interstate? Well, it's because you want people to see it. You want the attention. You want them to think of you when it comes to insurance. But it's all about attention. So what Facebook and these other social platforms do is they allow us to have free attention if we push, if we're operating correctly, and we're generating content and things of that nature. So at first I was a little more intentional with it. Like, hey, we're doing, every so often we'll throw insurance in there. Now I kind of, you almost learn what your audience will and won't engage with, and you can adjust accordingly to that to make sure that you're maximizing the reach. Posting something is better than not posting anything at all in most cases. Kind of go back to what Wes said, he's like, being in agency is an advantage. And, one thing that you can do as an agent is take what comes up throughout your day and make content about that. And the more content you put out, the more engagement you're going to get, the more people are going to see it, and it just snowballs.
One of the things I've seen, and I wonder if you guys have seen this as well, I've seen some beautiful, brilliant social media stuff created by agents. And then I get a call and they're like, Wes, I got 3 views. Again, my mom, my crazy weird cousin, and then some rando. Why is that? And almost undoubtedly, one of the things that I am able to connect is it's because they're in Facebook and they do a YouTube link inside of Facebook. And when you follow the money, Zuckerberg probably doesn't want Google to get, to do super well. So are there very real throttles and governors in place when you cross-pollinate social media platforms that aren't, fed by the same master?
100%. And that's what you just used is a great example. Taking a link of any kind and putting it in a Facebook post, in my opinion, is always a recipe for disaster. And the reason for that is, in the example you gave, somebody put a link to a YouTube video. What you've essentially just told Facebook's algorithm is like, hey, Facebook, we know that you have this platform, but for this content that I'm putting out, Google's platform is better. So I want to host my video there and people should go look at it there. And that's always going to do poorly. The links thing is terrible. Like I said, it's not going to completely kill it, but you're definitely putting your post at a disadvantage by doing that. And just for context of what we're talking about, my Facebook, a regular month for me, I'm going to generate somewhere around 50,000 impressions. And that's just from my post. But if I go in and I look, and if I've posted, a text post with an image versus that very same thing, but with a link somewhere else that I put in the post, the one with the link is going to do 90% worse than the one without it.
You and I often have a conversation around building our audience intentionally, making sure that we're stocking the pond with the right fish, essentially. How are you doing that at an agency level with the way you operate on social media?
Yeah, so the very first thing I'll tell all agency owners out there is when you implement a social media strategy within your agency, you got to get your team involved. It can't be just you, right? Each one of your team is going to have different audiences. And I know that there's a lot of agents out there that probably got Facebook blocked on their office networks and stuff. So people can't be on it. But the fact of the matter is that you have people doing it correctly. You can really build up big. But what he's talking about with being intentional with an audience is when I view somebody that I'm connected with on social, right? There's really 3 buckets I throw them in. The first one is it's somebody that brings me value. That can be family, that can be close friends, that can be anybody that's putting out content that I want to see, right? That I know, trust, and that's it. The second one is current customers. I think that if you're a current client, or if you have clients, it's really good to connect with them on there because then they get to see a personal side of you, and that helps with retention. Humongously with retention, you can see you'll see that very quickly happen. And then the last one are potential clients or referral partners, right? And so if you're not in one of those 3 buckets, I'm not adding you. I'm not allowing you to be, in my sphere because I only have 5,000 friend slots, right? I can't give one of those up for somebody that doesn't fall in one of those 3 buckets. So I built my audience that way.
If we can pause for station identification for a quick moment here, I want to call attention to something that you just said. Right. You just said we only have 5,000 friend slots. The average agent doesn't have more than 1,000 friends. You're panicking about not having more than 5,000 and growing your audience with intent, while most of the people listening here probably have, 4,000 to 4,500 friend spots to still fill. Who should they be looking for?
They bring me value, or they have a potential to be either a client or a referral partner. I think that the spot that a lot of people miss is, everybody thinks business is done on LinkedIn, right? And of course, like LinkedIn is a great platform for all those things. But what LinkedIn really is a really good search platform. Most LinkedIn users use LinkedIn for two things. They log into it once a month, they connect with anybody that sent them a connection, and then they will post whenever they lost their job and they need another job. That's the average LinkedIn user, right? So you're not getting a ton of engagement there, but taking the people that you find there that are in these different positions and connecting back with them on Facebook allows you to start creating a more of a personal relationship with them, which will allow you to develop something meaningful.
For sure. Well, dude, we haven't really openly discussed it yet, but this is our official third episode of Thought Leader Thursday, and it is the very first one that you are appearing on, and you're appearing on it as a guest. But this is a show that is being held jointly between Agency VA and Insurance Soup, and you are a pretty big part of what we do with Insurance Soup. So I guess now may be as good a time as ever to reveal to the audience that if you're enjoying these Thought Leader Thursdays, that there will be an occasion here and there where you will actually be joining as a co-host, or perhaps even solo hosting some of these with some of our guests as well.
That could be happening from what I hear, but I guess before that happens, I'm really gonna have to work on my beard game, because between you three, I've got the weakest of all of you in the beard department. Yeah, no, absolutely. I'm pumped about that. It's gonna be a good time. Be like having a substitute teacher. We're just gonna watch movies all day.
We've got Soup Live coming up in May, and you are going to be our first and only 3-time returning speaker. You are the only one hitting the stage that has hit the stage all three years so far.
And I haven't tripped not one time yet. I'm proud of myself.
You have not tripped one time, but I would go so far as to say that when you have been done with each of your previous 2 talks, that you definitely, while you haven't tripped, you've left the audience's head completely spinning. Come out there like Willy Wonka. You come out there and you're like, come with me and you'll be in a world of pure imagination. And the curtain drops when you're done talking, and the audience is just like, I had no idea you could make chocolate like that.
Yeah.
And like they all want to open their own chocolate factories. That's how inspiring you are. Inspiring like, oh my goodness, this guy just gave me the recipe to be a heck of a lot more badass than the person that I look in the mirror and see.
I should let the audience decide what I'm going to talk about, because I don't know. I don't have a topic yet.
You know what? I'm not even going to be coy about it. We're going to do it for the cheap engagement. I'm going to put it in the copy of the Thought Leader Thursday when this goes live, and we're going to milk the cheap engagement cow, and we're going to figure out what CJ is going to talk about at Soup Live this year, as I make it uncomfortable with my with my milking gestures. So if you have been enjoying what CJ had to share with us today, we're going to have the opportunity for you to download a PDF that kind of runs down a lot of what we talked about today, and I'm sure a couple of points that we didn't even get around to as well. There's a lot that we can talk about when it comes to organics and whatnot. So there will be a link somewhere around the video for you to grab the little job aid around what we've been talking about today. CJ, do you have any parting words of wisdom for the audience that have stuck with us to the nitty gritty very end here?
Yeah, I have 2 words that they should live by with organic social. You ready for this? It's really, really, really complicated. You ready? Post more. That's it. That's all you gotta do.
I was going with F it. I like yours better.
I thought he was going to say Post Malone. I was like, yes, let's do it.
Could be. Hey,
I saw someone at some point a number of years ago when he was first starting to get famous say something along the lines of, Post Malone looks like he smells. And I have not been able to get it out of my head, and I just assume that he probably has BO. But that's another episode. Nice awkward close to the